been plenty of movement in the Eastern Conference of the NBA this offseason. The Bucks added Miles Turner from the Pacers yesterday, re-signed Bobby Portis, lost Brook Lopez to the Clippers, traded Pat Connaughton to the Hornets. The Celtics, who just won the title a couple years ago, have traded away key pieces from that 24 title team, sending Drew Holiday to the Blazers, Kristaps Porzingis to the Hawks. Al Horford also remains a free agent. After a disappointing end to the year, the Cavs are reloading for next year as they acquired Lonzo Ball from the Bulls while losing Ty Jerome to the Memphis Grizzlies. We take a look now at the odds to win the Eastern Conference, courtesy of ESPN Bet Sportsbook, which has the Knicks and Cavaliers tied as the favorites at plus 290, followed by the Magic at plus 425. David, which Eastern Conference team are you highest on right now?
I'm going chalk here. I'm going Cleveland. I'm going with the Cavs. I think that if you're Cleveland, you're telling yourself, hey, we didn't have Darius Garland. He was hurt for a little bit of that second round. We're going against the Pacers, who were just riding a lightning bolt, and they caught fire right at the right time and stole a game that was critical to us. But I'm feeling like we're coming back as a 60-win team. We added Lonzo Ball. We added some of that defense, which I think was one of the issues that they were concerned about. And we should feel like we should be able to come back and win the East. Boston is not there, which I think was probably the biggest competition, Indiana aside, of course. I think you're saying Boston's not there. The Knicks don't have a coach. Maybe there's some sort of issue there. But we feel like we're the best team in the East. We just had a bad run in that second round.
Yeah, I'd say there's a reason the Cavs and Knicks are tied at the top, right? The Cavs obviously are coming off the 64-win team our season. They have a very good team. Adding Lonzo Ball, I think, will help them if he could stay healthy. However, there are a lot of concerns about health with the Cavs. Lonzo Ball, huge injury question. Donovan Mitchell the last couple of years has worn down as the season's gone on. Darius Garland has worn down the last couple of years as the season's gone on. So I'm going to go with the Knicks. Yes, they don't have a coach. Kind of a problem, but they have time to get a coach. The game starts till October. I thought they had a really nice job over the weekend yesterday, getting Gershon Yabusele, getting Jordan Clarkson, adding to their bench, adding three-point shooting, two things they didn't have. And this is a team that got to the conference finals last year and has a clear identity of how they're going to play, and I don't think a new coach is dramatically going to change that because of the pieces they have. So I like their depth. I like their durability. I like the fact that they've shown an ability to get through a couple rounds of the playoffs, something the Cavs haven't done yet. And while a couple other teams, Atlanta, Orlando, have made jumps up, these teams falling off, I think it could be prime opportunity for the Knicks.
Are you saying coaching doesn't matter, or are you operating under the premise that the man Mike Brown, who got a second interview, who's more accomplished than Tom Thibodeau, to be fair, is likely to be the head coach? Because to pick a team that doesn't have a coach as the best in the East indicates that maybe you think coaching's a little bit overrated.
Well, I would say that I think the Knicks are going to – certainly Mike Brown would be a good coach. We'll see if he lends there. But I think more than anything else is that the Knicks team is what it is. They didn't go into this offseason not really knowing what their roster was going to look like, right? Their top 7 guys are set. They had one slot they could use for a player above the minimum. They signed Gershon Yabusele, who fills several holes for them. Jordan Clarkson's a nice piece as a bench minimum scorer. They could get some other guys, too, with minimum slots. I mean, look, this is a Knicks team that – obviously still needs to get a coach, still has some other things to figure out. But to me, this is much less about the Cavs and the Knicks. It's much more about the Pacers falling off and the Celtics falling off. Those teams going into the conference finals, I would have felt, or going into the second round, I would have felt like would have been teams that could really push on this year and be the favorites in the East. With them gone, you kind of have the Cavs and Knicks just standing here sitting at the top of the conference by default.
Yeah, I do think it is those two teams. I'm just kind of stuck. Like, if you're talking durability, the Knicks were probably as healthy as they've been in a while last season. I'm not sure if they can sustain that for this season. There's a lot of minutes that they played last year. They had just gotten Brunson back in time for the playoffs. Both of these teams are going to have some injury concerns that are possible, and I wouldn't be surprised if we're looking at the playoffs where the Knicks are not as healthy this year as they were last year.
I'm going to guess the starter minutes go down next year, just a hunch. Windy, which Eastern Conference team are you highest on right now?
Yeah, I mean, look, if you look at the top 5 finishers from last season in the regular season, 3 of them had catastrophic injuries and have had to radically change their roster. So saying Cavs and Knicks that's the only honest answer. Now, let me say 2 things. One, I'm very tempted to bring up the Philly 76ers here because when you look at their roster, it is hard not to be impressed by the level of talent that they have on it. And you know that they're going to have the injection of VJ Edgecombe. But I don't want to be embarrassed when you bring back footage of this in 3 or 4 months. So I'm going to try to avoid, shame. I just want to say one thing about the Knicks. The Knicks had a schedule, and it was hard to necessarily sell it after the wake of the Mikal Bridges trade. I realize, again, that was a trade that a lot of people felt a certain way about. But the Knicks looked at the Celtics and said, they can't keep that team together. They're too expensive second apron. They look at the Cavs. The Cavs are now in the second apron. And the Knicks' plan was built completely around Jalen Brunson's willingness to take way less than his max contract to keep them out of the second apron. So here the Knicks are, a built-out team. Now, I'm not saying if a star player doesn't come available that they don't go, right into it. But the Knicks are a built-out team now. They legitimately go 8-9 deep. And they're looking at the Celtics. Of course, nobody could have foreseen the Tatum injury, but the Celtics would have had to have taken their team back a step or two this year for the second apron. And they're looking at the Cavs, who are very strong, but are facing second apron realities into the future. And the Knicks' wager on this is that they can outlast these teams, that they're going to outlast the second apron teams because they're not in there. They're going to be able to add to their roster, and they're going to be able to make trades. Right now, if a star player became available, the Knicks would be more available to trade for that star player than the Cavs, because the Cavs are a second apron team. So my answer is Knicks and Cavs and Knicks, however you want to say it. It's close either way. It's going to be to bet on health. But the Knicks are in a position of very good strategy. Maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't.
But I'm right, but won't admit it because he's the mayor of Cavs Corner.
Well,
That's what it sounds like to me.
Now, what's interesting is Windy did bring up a team that, speaking of Cavs Corner, a reference to the Hoop Collective podcast. There was a team that Windy just brought up that you said before last season, Bontemps, definitively, with no argument, as the best big three in the NBA of Joel Embiid, Paul George, and Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah, hold them accountable.
I am.
They at the time were the only team with 3 All-Stars from the previous season on it, so it was definitive. And then they decided to not play last season, which is kind of a problem.
But is your definitive take last year applicable to this year?
Well, here's the thing. If the Sixers are healthy, right, which again, there couldn't be a bigger if than if the Sixers are healthy. But if the Sixers are healthy, I think you can make a very good argument they have the highest ceiling of any team right now in the Eastern Conference, because that means Joel Embiid is playing like an MVP. That means that Tyrese Maxey is playing like an all-star. And that means Paul George is playing like an all-star. If those 3 guys are healthy and playing the way they were 2 years ago, then yes, I think you could certainly put Philly in this conversation. However, I don't think anybody can seriously do that right now when we have Joel Embiid having had surgery in the spring. We have not had an update on that. We have no idea what Paul George is going to look like coming back this year. This team did just lose Gershon Yabusele. They're pretty light in the front court. So look, if Philly is healthy, I do think they're going to be in the mix in the East, especially with all these injuries. But again, I just don't think we can really seriously talk about it until we see them. Yes, exactly.
I'm not doing this. We're not doing the Philadelphia ifsers anymore. I'm not. You said if like 10 times talking about this team. I am not falling for this.
It was brought to me.
I have fallen for this so many times. Last year,
I wasn't arguing.
Pump the brakes on this team, on the panic and all that stuff. I am fully in disbelief that Philadelphia is going to pull this thing together. I'm not falling for it again. Fool me once, all the time. You fooled me about 10 times with this Philadelphia 76ers team. I'm not doing it.
Brian Windhorst, very smart. Just set up Bontemps on purpose.
That's
he
right.
knew what would happen as a result. Very smart by Bontemps. By Windy there with Bontemps. There is a team we haven't talked much about in the East. Let's bring in our bombshell. Kevin Clark. Kevin, you have a team that you are high on this offseason, into this season in the Eastern Conference.
Friends, how you doing? I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed.
Can I leave now? Can I just walk out?
You're trapped here, buddy.
That's really good.
The Orlando Magic are not only a contender that you guys haven't brought up, except when you were talking about the odds, oddly enough, because Vegas seems to know ball, but they're also going to win the Eastern Conference, full stop. They're not a contender, they're going to win. Let me lay this out here. They already won the offseason with the Bane trade. They undercut everybody by going out and getting the second best catch-and-shoot three-point shooter on the planet, Steph Curry, being number 1.
That's nice of you to put Steph.
Yeah, no, by the way, Steph, I didn't think Steph was available, but Steph, hop on the bandwagon, buddy. There's still time. It's a long offseason. Player empowerment. You can get to Orlando. But when I look at the way this roster is set up, guys, I look at statistically the best defense in hoops, an offense that is going to get better because Paolo Banchero was making the leap before his injury problems this year. He will make a bigger leap next year. We know what Franz Wagner can do. We know what a healthy Jalen Suggs can do. The Magic have not had an offense in the top half of the league since Dwight Howard was on the roster. That seems fake, but is 100% correct, okay? Now you add Bane, who solves all of their shooting problems, opens up the floor, all of them, opens up the floor for Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner and Jalen Suggs. This is the move of the offseason, and the Magic are going to take a leap. When you look at the Eastern Conference, which is what we're looking at, all the injury issues, all of the roster issues, it's your Orlando Magic, guys.
Couple things here. First of all, Kevin Clark, my friend, is the biggest Orlando Magic homer on the planet. Which is
I wasn't saying this last offseason.
Well, you've made a lot of Orlando Magic takes over the years, I will say. The Orlando Magic last won a playoff series in 2010.
Yeah.
I was at the last game the Orlando Magic played outside the first round of the playoffs, Game 6 of the 2010 Conference Finals in Boston when they lost to the Celtics, who then went on to the finals. I do think the Desmond Bane trade was a very good move. I do think the Magic are a very good team. However, they are a team that the last 2 years has completely run into a wall in the playoffs from an offensive perspective. I don't think Desmond Bane is fixing that all by himself. Let's see if Paolo Banchero can improve as an efficient scorer and a shooter. Let's see if Franz Wagner can fix his jump shot, which the last 2 years has not worked. Let's see if Jalen Suggs can be healthy. The most important thing that happened last year to the Magic was Jalen Suggs had a knee injury, and when he left the court, the Magic went off a cliff. So, yes, they have a good team. They're going to be in the mix. I certainly think they're a top 4 team in the East now, but there's a long way to go from that to them winning 3 series and winning the East.
Okay, wait a minute. So you're dismissing it. What's more likely, LeBron gets traded or the Magic win the East?
If you're giving me that argument, I would say the Magic winning the East.
Look at this, Kevin.
Thank you.
You got Bontemps.
Look
you
at
got
this.
Bontemps, David.
This is great.
I think
Which one's more likely?
What's most likely is, yes, the Magic winning the East. I like the Magic. I think they're a top 4 team. I think Banchero, Wagner, they make a leap. I think I thought they were a top 4 team this season, but minus the injuries,
absolutely
they would have been
would
there
have been
in the mix this year. Did not happen. I think if we're going to rank these things, it's Magic winning the East, Philadelphia Sixers making a run here, and LeBron getting traded somewhere down like about right where my kneecap. Excuse me. Let me try this. I've been wanting to do this for a long time. Yeah. Stephen A. Smith is not here, so mama, we made it. David's A-list. We are talking the top 5 scorers of my lifetime. It says 1990 here. I was born a little bit before that. We'll keep 1990 because I look very youthful. Top 5 scorers that I have seen. We are going to start with number 5. Wardell Stephen Curry from 1, Davidson College. Broke every defense in the league. Everybody's shooting threes. Why? Because of the way that Steph Curry plays. Indefensible, one of the guys that you cannot defend the league. Why are they double teaming this dude from half court? Because he can shoot from 45 feet away. Number 4, we're going to go with Kobe Bean Bryant. What more do I need to say? 81 points. The guy averaged 35 points in a season. This dude, again, unstoppable, carry teams to championships. If you want a walking bucket, you got to go Kobe Bean Bryant. Number 3, LeBron James. LeBron James, of course, best scorer, leading scorer of all time. The dude's been scoring for 45 years. Top in the league, no letdown from LeBron James. The dude can score from anywhere and has improved throughout the entirety of his career. Number 2, the man of the hour, Kevin Durant, the guy that LeBron James himself has praised. 50, 40, 90, pretty much every year. The guy's had at least 20-some points for pretty much his entire career. If you want to get one shot from anybody of all time in the league, you're probably looking at Kevin Durant right there on the list. Number 1, no surprise, Michael Jeffrey Jordan. 63 points in Boston, 7 days after I was born. One of the greatest of all time. The dude, look at the shot. Look at the shot on Brian Russell. You want a bucket, you go to Michael Jordan. These are the top 5 scorers of my lifetime. Wardell, Bean, LBJ, KD, Michael Jordan. Go on ahead, give me A+, everybody. Give me A+. I'm
Go ahead, Evan.
I would have
bathed in the praise.
given you an A+ if you did something. I need Kevin Durant's middle name and I need LeBron's middle name. I got everybody else's middle name. Where's the middle name?
That's good. I don't know the middle name.
I need better prep from you. You're so prepped for everything. I need middle names.
You put me on the spot here. So we're just going to go with the A. We're going with the A because of the middle name thing.
Okay, all right, yeah.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about.
I'm going to probably go with a...
Kevin Wayne Durant. I got that all on my own.
Okay.
Got that all on my own. Just my memory.
Probably going to go with a B.
A B?
I would say. I mean, here's what I would say. A couple things. First of all, I think Kevin Durant is the greatest scorer of all time. When you talk about his ability...
Above Jordan.
Above Jordan. When you talk about his ability at 7 feet tall to score at all 3 levels, again, 50, 40, 90, 50, 40, I should say, the last 3 years, over 25 a game. We talk in that clip, LeBron talked about Kevin's efficiency. Kevin is an unbelievably efficient scorer, and at his size, I don't think we've ever had anyone built to score the way Kevin Durant is. There's never been a team that's been able to guard him. He can always get his shot. He's incredibly efficient. He's metronomic that way. So I would have him personally first. The other guy I would have on the list, I know it's going to be sacrilegious. I know Kobe scored 81. I would take Kobe off the list. I would put James Harden on the list.
Oh, whoa.
Because,
okay. All right.
Because,
okay. All right.
Because if you talk about two guys who, to me, changed the way the game is played the last 15 years, Steph Curry, to your point, I'd have him higher. I'd have him third. I'd have LeBron fourth. And I would have James Harden fifth because James Harden brought in a whole new way of playing as the guy teams built their whole offense around. And for about a 6, 7, 8 year stretch, he was by himself the best offense in the league every single year.
I would like to mention, I know it doesn't say it up here, top 5 scorers in 1990, playoffs included. Like, that's part of it. We're doing playoffs included. Jordan, average 40 in the playoff series. Kevin Durant, multiple finals MVPs. LeBron James, most points anybody in the playoffs. Kobe Bryant, right? Playoff excellence here. Stephen Curry, what he did in Boston cannot be repeated. Where is James Harden's accolades on the playoffs?
If you're gonna start adding addendums to your list, then do what you want.
Playoffs count. We're talking about these dudes and their scoring.
I didn't know it was a playoff list.
It's a scorer list. Playoffs include. If I want a bucket, regular season or the playoffs, James Harden is not on this list. Honorable mentions. Allen Iverson gets an honorable mention. Melo gets an honorable mention.
Well, now we're gonna have like a list of 20 people.
Honorable mentions. These are the top 5.
Brian, I don't know your middle name, but Wendy, what is your grade on this?
There's nuance. There's so much nuance when you talk about scorer. The term scorer has its own meaning. It's more than shooter. Like, when you say scorer, I don't think of Steph Curry as a great scorer. I think of him as the greatest shooter of all time. But scorer feels like a different thing. And I actually am surprised that you have Kobe below LeBron because LeBron is sort of a reluctant scorer. He doesn't have a scoring mindset. He scores because it's part of his game. He doesn't have a scorer's mindset. I think Durant is the best scorer of my lifetime. And I know it's very dangerous to take Michael out of number 1 on anything. Durant won 4 scoring titles in 5 years in Oklahoma City. And had he only focused on scoring, he might have won 4 or 5 more. When he went to Golden State, he took a step back. And then he's gone and linked up with other guys who put the ball in the basket. I think Durant, if Durant wanted to, he could be chasing down Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. If that was his, I would almost say if I had a criticism of Durant, is he doesn't shoot enough. I feel like he should shoot 5 more times a game for like the last 10 years because of what LeBron just said there, because he shoots over 50%. Pretty much everybody on the court is a worse idea to shoot than Durant. But that's a different story. But I'm not going to attack your list because how am I going to? These are all first ballot Hall of Famers. I'm not knocking any of them off. But a scorer, by the way, Harden, talk about efficiency. Again, LeBron started this conversation with efficiency. From an efficiency standpoint, Harden rewrote the rules.
Final grade. Now that we know the full rules, right, which is top 5 scorers.
You're saying a B. It's a good list.
You're still saying B.
It's a good list.
Wendy, your grade?
B+. B+.
I'm going to give you an A-.
A-.
Here's why. I like what Wendy said. It's almost like the way that I personally look at Ken Griffey Jr. I don't think Ken Griffey Jr. was a home run hitter. He was just such an unbelievable hitter. He hit home runs. Okay. LeBron is such an unbelievable player. He scores, but he's not a scorer. So I would actually have him 5th and put Kobe and Steph ahead of him, is why I give you the A-. Okay. Well, what are you going to give yourself?
Give my A+, baby. That's what I'm giving myself an A+.
It's called A-list.
It's called A-list. David D's A-list. They didn't call it David D's D-list. It's A-list. Look at that. Wanna try to boast at what I look like. Think I'm gonna try to wear, I pull up long range. Jimmy with the heat, I'm on fire. It's 88 over here,